Hello, this is iReady News. First, here are the headlines. President Salva Kiir has accused some neighboring countries of annexing South Sudan's internationally recognized territories with the exception of Ethiopia. A peace conference of Lanya has resolved that Tali community leave Pojulu land within 1 week to avoid further communal violence. And some South Sudanese students studying under government scholarships in Ethiopia say they have not been able to return to school due to lack of transport fare. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Kelly Abale, and now the news in details. President Salva Kiir has accused some neighboring countries of annexing South Sudan's internationally recognized territories with the exception of Ethiopia. Kiir says Kenya, Uganda, Central African Republic, and DR Congo have all annexed South Sudan territories despite the colonial border lines. Lasuba Memo has more in this report.
Porous land border points have been issues of contention between South Sudan and its neighbors. South Sudan borders Sudan to the north, Ethiopia to the east, Kenya, Uganda, and DR Congo to the south, and Central African Republic to the west. Kenya and South Sudan share a straight-line border that extends over 200 kilometers from the tri-point with Uganda in the south to the tri-point with Ethiopia in the north or east. Over two-thirds of its length is in dispute, making up an area known as Ilemi Triangle. South Sudan and Sudan in 2012 fought a brief war over oil-rich region of Heglig, and the two countries have had dispute over Abyei, Daba al-Fakhr, Jebel al-Makhwinis, Kaka, Kefia Kenji, and Hofrad al-Nihaz. In October last year, the SSPDF reported that two of its officers were killed by the Ugandan People's Defense Forces in Poge area in Magui County. In June, a similar incident occurred at Fitina Mbaya, also called Buya, a contested part of Kajikeji County and Central Equatorial State. 4 SSPDF soldiers and 1 National Police Service officer were shot and killed by the SSPDF. In 2016, South Sudan and Uganda formed an 18-member joint border committee to start the demarcation to resolve border disputes. Details of the committee and the venue of the talks are yet to be made public. However, President Kiir says he has formed a committee to look into the matters regarding the border issues. Kiir made the remarks during the closing of the Jonglei Pibor Administrative Area Peace Conference in Juba yesterday.
لانه المنطقه بتاعنا مام الجبال في نص ما بقدر بيجي بشيل اللين بتاعنا لكن امسك من كينيا يوغندا سنترال افريكا كونغو الناس ديل كله خايفين لنا ما بنعمل شكله بنتكلم معهم في حدود كان المستعمرين كان رسموا زمان وانا يدي لجنه بتاعت الحدود اللجنه ده هيتكلم معهم لكن لو في زول داير شكله وهجم علينا يلكم ناس دايرين شكله بيناتكم ده ياودا تكون شكله بتاعكم.
A peace conference of Lanya has resolved that Tali community leave Pojulu land within 1 week to avoid further communal violence. There have been violent incidents among the Mundari cattle keepers for about 3 months now. Tension began in October following the killing of the son of former Central Equatorial Governor Clement Waninkonga. At least 6 people from both communities of Mundari Tali and Pojulu were killed in Lanya this month alone. Recently, the communities held a peace dialogue chaired by Bishop Paul Yogsu. Paul Yogsuk spoke to iRadio via phone from Lanya this morning.
A meeting between the Mundari and in particularly Mundari Tali cattle herders and the Pojulu community. And the resolutions of the meeting is that they they have forgiven themselves, which is very important. The second one is that the Mundari Tali had to leave the Pojulu land, the area. They have to go back where they have come from. It's given 1 week, and the third is that the Pojulu community give them a safe passage. They have to go without any retaliation, whatever. And so this is how they have resolved it. One resolution, that is the people who lost their lives, both sides. I think they are equally three. And I think that was covered under the forgiveness.
You're listening to iRadio Afternoon News. Some South Sudanese students studying under government scholarships in Ethiopia say they have not been able to return to school due to lack of transport fare. The over 200 students were flown into the country in May last year after they protested over hardship during the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. This came a month after some South Sudan government had requested the government of Ethiopia to allow the students to continue staying there. Okot Emmanuel filed this report.
The request made followed an order by the Ethiopian government that all foreign students, including South Sudanese, leave the country due to the coronavirus outbreak in the country. But the students demanded to come back home after they said they had run out of food for weeks and the government failed to respond to them. Maker Mangol is the secretary of South Sudanese students in Ethiopia. He told iRadio that they have nearly missed out a whole semester due to the delay.
It is something so complex. Actually, the transportation is used for our students to afford. Here, this is what is affecting us. Most of the students, they can't afford actually to reach there to their universities. Since school get open in December earlier last year, and now it's very hard for a student to go. And the lectures are going on, and it's hard for a student to reach their lectures. Now is something so complex to us. We actually try the government in order to transport us. They usually play rope, with the students.
The student leader said they repeatedly presented their complaints to the Ministry of Finance and Higher Education, but these institutions often tell them there is no money. He says only students whose parents could afford air tickets have traveled to Ethiopia. Meanwhile, some members of the public have called on the government to expedite returns of the students. Some of them spoke on the Dawn Show.
لما يوصل في درجة زي ده كويس لازم أكون بيشجعوا. ديل بعدين يا بكون لين بتاع جنوب السودان. وديل بعدين يا بكون مكتاب بتاع جنوب السودان. وديل بعدين يا بكون نور بتاع جنوب السودان بعدين قدام.
I think this will become a culture now in South Sudan, where the government has always been failing to take the primary responsibility that they're supposed to do. It's very sad when you see your colleagues are progressing and you are not continuing with your study due to a certain reason that's beyond your control. Because the students, they are just innocent and they are victimized because of the COVID-19.
Reporting for iRadio News, I am Okot Emmanuel.
At least 12 frontline healthcare workers and 5 non-medical personnel have tested positive for coronavirus in Ural Hospital in Lake State. According to the medical director of Ural Hospital, a 38-year-old mother is among the new cases and she is in critical condition. Dr. Makwe Ijong told iRadio this morning that they are working to ensure the virus does not spread to the communities there.
The first case was one of the clinical officers. He came with the signs and symptoms of COVID-19, so he was tested and it was confirmed. We tried to collect the samples from 15 samples. So among the 15, we confirmed 4 cases, so the cases become 5. We traced other contacts, about 65. So among the 65, we confirmed cases. Now the total are 17 now, currently this morning. We have now 17 cases. 12 cases are health workers. 2 are drivers. 3 are non-medical personnel. The last 3 cases, one came from Yerul East in a place called Kap, and one from Paneliat, another one from Matar. Currently, we have 17 cases which are positive for COVID-19. The 5 cases have been quarantined here now in the house. Only the last case now which is in a critical condition.
Recently, authorities in Juba said about 140 frontline health workers tested positive for COVID-19 in the capital. Since the outbreak of the deadly virus, South Sudan has reported more than 3,913 confirmed cases, with 64 deaths and 3,596 recoveries. You're listening to iRadio News, and before the international scene, another man has been sentenced to 10 years in jail for abducting and defiling a 15-year-old girl. The 32-year-old married man, Angelo Bidal Richard, was convicted for sexually assaulting the girl at High Jebel Yesua in Juba in November 2020. According to the presiding judge over the gender-based violence court, the convict says he had sex with the minor with an intent to marry her. However, Judge Francis Amum Awan found Bidal guilty of defilement. He announced the verdict yesterday.
This court found the accused guilty and convicted for defilement of a girl child aged 15 years. In that vein, I will impose the following sentence. 1. Convict is sentenced to 10 years imprisonment with effect from the date of his detention on the 1st of November 2020. Remedies. Convict must pay to the survivor 500,000 South Sudanese pounds as remedies through civil proceedings. 3. Convict is advised that he has a right of appeal against both conviction and sentence within 15 days.
According to the 2008 Child Act, every child has a right to protection from early marriage, forced circumcision, sacrifice, toting, piercing, tooth removal, or any other cultural ritual, custom, or traditional practice that is likely to negatively affect the child's life, health, welfare, dignity, or physical, emotion, psychological, mental, and intellectual development. Last week, the GBV court sentenced 4 men to 10 years each in prison for molesting young girls. The GBV court was inaugurated last December to handle crimes related to women and children in the country. You are listening to iRadio News, and now to the international scene with my colleague Lasuba Memo.
Thanks, Kelly Abale. In the international scene, Sudan says it will not cede any of the disputed territory it recently recaptured from Ethiopian militia along its eastern border. The government news agency SUNA reported that the commander of the infantry's 2nd Division, Major General Haidar al-Tiraifi, confirmed that Sudan would not give up an inch of the Sudanese territory of Al-Fazak to Ethiopia. The general also announced the opening of the door for recruitment to the armed forces. He was speaking as he received a support convoy from the Falata tribe in the eastern state of Al-Ghazarib Wednesday morning. Elsewhere, South Africa's military has changed its religious dress policy to allow Muslim women to wear hijabs with their military uniform. That's according to a rights organization that had challenged the policy in court. The Legal Resources Center said the changes follow discussions with the South African National Defense Force. The center has since filed a notice to withdraw the suit in the Equality Court. In a statement, it said, quote, "We will therefore not be pursuing this matter further as the current SANDF policy no longer discriminates against Muslim women in the military," end quote. And finally, Mozambique police boss has reshuffled officers previously stationed at the Namacha border with neighbors Eswatini and South Africa for allegedly taking bribes to allow illegal migration. Police Chief Bernardino Rafael announced that all members of the frontier force were facing disciplinary proceedings. Mr. Rafael acknowledged that the bribery allegations did not involve all officers, but said for fairness that all had to go. The move follows the airing of a story by local television station STV on how police routinely allowed Mozambicans to illegally cross the border into South Africa after paying a bribe of 200 South African rands. That's all in the international scene. Back to you, Kelia Bali.
And for the stories making headlines in the world of sports this afternoon, here is Okot Emmanuel.
Hello, welcome to iRadio Afternoon Sports. Look at the local scene. In the Juba South Sudan Cup played yesterday, Cabo FC won 3-2 against Kamiru FC, while Munich FC Juba thumped Nyakron FC 4-0 and Al Rabita FC came from behind to beat Al Merik FC 1-2. Today in Juba, Etihad FC Juba plays at Atalabara FC Juba at Munich playing ground. Citizen FC faces Zalzal FC at Jamus playing ground, and Kator FC Juba battles Amarat United FC at Buluk Training Center. Kickoff time for the game is 4 p.m. Jamaica defender Alvas Elvis Powell has signed for Sudan's Al Hilal Omdurman from David Beckham's MLS side Inter Miami. The Sudanese announced the signing on its Facebook page, where they also revealed that Senegalese player Ibrahim Mame Diaye, 26, had joined from Serbian side FK Chukurachi. The 26-year-old Powell has joined until the end of the season, while on options for a one-year extension. The deal has been organized and financially backed by Al Hilal honorary president Turki Al-Sheikh, a wealthy businessman who is also the chairman of Saudi's General Entertainment Authority and former owner of the Egyptian club Pyramid. Moving on to Europe, bottom of the table, Sheffield United caused a stunning upset with a Premier League victory over title-chasing Manchester United at Old Trafford. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side needed 3 points to regain top spot from rival Manchester City, but were lackluster for the large period of the contest as the away side picked up only 3-second win of the season. The Blades took a shock first half lead through Keane Brand's flick header, which went in off the far post following John Fleck's corner. Anthony Martial had the goal ruled out as Harry Maguire was adjudged to have fouled Aaron Ramsdale's, but United's keeper headed in the levelers just past the hour mark. Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea reigns got off to a frustrating start as Wolves secured a point in a drop stalemate at Stamford Bridge. Tuchel's appointed boss on Tuesday following the sacking of Frank Lampard took his place in the dugout after conducting one training session with his new team. But the German was given an indication of the huge challenge facing him as Chelsea struggled to carve out chances against a Wolves side short of confidence and without a top-flight win since 15 December. Rui Patricio produced good save to keep out Antonio Rudiger header. Hudson-Odoi deflected attempt, while Chelsea 4-3-3 successful passes were the most by a Tuchel's team in the first half of a top-flight game since May 2016. Ben Chilwell sent a rare challenge over the bar, but Wolves, who hit the bar through Pedro Neto and gave a debut to striker William Jones, were good value for their pair. Thanks for listening to iRadio Sports. I am Okot Emmanuel.
Thank you, Okot Emmanuel. You are listening to iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. President Salva Kiir has accused some neighboring countries of annexing South Sudan's internationally recognized territories, with exception of Ethiopia. A peace conference over Lanya has resolved that Tali community leave Pojulu land within 1 week to avoid further communal violence. And some South Sudanese students studying under government scholarships in Ethiopia say they have not been able to return to school due to lack of transport fares. That's the end of iRadio News. You can get these stories and updates by subscribing to iRadio News Alert on your MTN number. Call 700 or dial star 700 hash and follow the instructions. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 912 986 986. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on Twitter at iRadio, like our Facebook iRadio. You can also listen to us online by logging on to our website www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Kelly Abale. Thanks for listening.
This is iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Are you looking for a bundle that will address your needs to talk, chat, send messages? Then you just got covered with Zain all-in-one bundle. You'll be able to get free messages to all Zain numbers, send messages, and access the internet at the same time. Simply subscribe by dialing *103 hash and select from our daily, weekly, or monthly bundles to suit your needs and budget. Enjoy talking longer, chat more, and send unlimited SMSs as Zain is always here for you.
Zain, a wonderful world.
It's yet another new day to catch up with the latest news stories across the country. For the latest updates and breaking news, public views on important matters.
I'm committed to respect the whole document that I have signed for those who have sought refuge in the UN camps.
Features on life stories and life-changing moments. Tune in to The Dawn Show on iRadio.
Leaders should be united.
We demand the parliament to pass the...
Wake up every morning with The Dawn Show to know how your day will look like by listening to policymakers, analysts, health officials, technocrats.
All the time, this case of rape is not a rape.
حاجات الشغل بيكون ما في. We had around 7 to 8 midwives qualified, but because of less pay, about
Tune in to the Dawn program every weekday from 7 to 9 a.m. with Emmanuel Joseph Akile, only on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
كأنه هيدي الأحاسيس لأول مرة عم عيشها وعم